Doherty, Ag Engineering Field Specialist with ISU Extension and Outreach. And today, got a little experiment set up here, so I'm going to talk a little bit about soil erosion, how it causes it, and I'm going to do a little demo here to show you what happens when we wet down some soil. And so one of the things you can do to prevent soil erosion is follow the 4 soil health principles. So this is from Natural Resources Conservation Service. And so these include minimizing disturbance, so that would be tillage for the most part. So when you till the soil, it breaks up soil aggregates and it exposes the surface to raindrops, and it makes that soil more prone to erosion. So anything you can do to minimize disturbance will help prevent erosion. The second one is to maximize continuous living roots. So if you have plants growing on the surface, that helps protect that surface from erosion and from raindrops that hit the soil and cause erosion. The other thing that plants do is, as they're photosynthesizing and taking in sunlight, they create carbon and sugars and proteins and things like that to build the plant tissue. So that's how plants grow. But the other thing they do is they take part of those carbons and sugars and they actually leak them into the soil through the root system. And what that does is it feeds the biology in the soil, because plant roots by themselves aren't very good at capturing all of the nutrients they need. So plants actually feed the biology in the soil, and then in exchange, that biology then provides more nutrients for the plants. So if you can keep plants living throughout the growing season, that will help protect the soil, help prevent erosion. And the third one is maximize biodiversity. And so the more diverse your plant growth is, again, the more different kinds of plants you have, the more diverse your biology below ground will be, because each plant tends to feed a different type of biology. And it's that biology in the soil that actually produces the glues that help stick soil together, and that helps prevent erosion. The fourth one on here is just maximize soil cover, and so Leah just talked about that. So keeping the soil covered, again, it helps prevent raindrop impact on that soil surface and helps prevent erosion. So I'm going to show you a few different soils here just to demonstrate some of these soil health principles. So this soil hasn't had very many soil health principles, so it's had a lot of tillage, hasn't had really any cover crops on it, and so you can see this soil it's very hard. You don't see a lot of, it's basically one big chunk. So here we have the same soil type, but this soil has had less tillage, so it's had more of those soil health principles. It's been covered more of the year. It's had alfalfa 3 years out of 5, so there hasn't been tillage on it. And you can see some little wormholes and different things here, so that shows that there's been more biology in this soil. And here is an example. This is just from a grass waterway, but this shows what a really healthy soil would look like. So you can see all of the roots that you have growing in the soil here. You have lots of aggregation. So this is what we would call a soil aggregate. So this is just basically a chunk of soil that's stuck together, and it's the biology that produces the glues that help stick that soil together. So a very healthy soil here. You can definitely notice this is a darker color. So there's more organic matter in the soil, and that's produced by plant residue as well as the biology in the soil. So the darker color is better. So what I'm going to do here is a quick little demo. We're going to take these 2 different types of soil. So these are the same soil type. These samples were taken maybe 100 feet apart, and I'm going to drop them into the water here, and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully this fits here. I might have to find a different piece. So we're going to drop these in, and we're going to see how well this soil holds together. And so if you can see the air bubbles coming out there, what that is as this soil wets down, it's actually soaking in and it's displacing air. So these soils will have airspace inside them. So a soil should be about 50% airspace. So as that water goes into the soil, it's forcing the air out, and that's where these air bubbles are coming from. And now you see how this soil, this is the one that's less healthy, has had less of the soil health principles, and you can see it's starting to fall apart. So as that water soaks into the soil, it actually creates pressure inside the soil, and it forces those soil particles apart. And that's what's called slaking, so that's why we call this a slake test. And so you can see the difference here. This is your healthier soil. So even though it's completely submerged in water, and it'll be much less prone to erosion because this soil is going to hold together. You can see they're falling apart here, and the ones that do tend to be bigger pieces, and they still stay together. And we see how this soil, if I just disturb these a little bit, see how this soil is basically just disintegrating. So this has not had a cover crop, it's had a lot of tillage, and you can visibly see the difference. So if you're ever driving around, you can really notice this in the springtime. If you see a river after a big rainfall, like look at the Mississippi or one of your local rivers, and it turns kind of chocolatey brown, like this is exactly what causes that. So it's those soil particles becoming detached in the field and ending up in the waterways, and then you end up with this cloudy brown looking water. And so this is really important to try to follow the soil health principles, minimize disturbance, always keep something growing on the surface to help prevent erosion. So that is the slake test.